various things. Too many agents. There we go. I wanted to bring up the AI Skills Hub and dunk on it because it's terrible. Right, where is it? Catalogue. Okay, I'm in. Okay, I'll actually start with that. Morning, TikTok. Morning, YouTube. Oh, God. Kicking off in a minute. Okay. Morning, morning, morning. Right. Good morning, everyone. It is Thursday, the 5th of February, and this is AI with Kyle. I'm going to be running through the latest AI news and updates of the day and taking audience questions live. Got a bunch of news today. For the last couple of days, I've been doing mainly guides, showing you how to use Codex, for example. But today, we're going to be digging into some news because we've finally got something juicy. Well, a few things going on. We've got some rivalry between Anthropic and ChatGPT with the drop of a new advert that Anthropic put out, which is very, very funny, and Sam Altman's response. We're also going to be looking at the results from Google. Google are quietly cooking in the background and doing some really, really good stuff, and I don't think people are paying enough attention. And then I'm going to look at the 1-year anniversary of vibe coding. Vibe coding was coined a year ago. And also look at the rumors about ChatGPT 5.3, GPT 5.3, and Sonnet 5 and Opus 4.6, the new models from Claude. Rumored probably coming out very imminently though. So let's hop in. Again, if you are not subscribed, make sure you are. It's at aiwithkyle.com. You can sign up, get the newsletter, and that will give you a summary of what's been covered in each live, as well as any additional resources, a bunch of free courses, the whole catalogue of my playbooks, a community, and a lot more. So make sure you're subscribed there, totally free. First up, before jumping into any of that, I want to talk about this AI Skills Hub from the UK government, and I'm going to put them on blast here because this is disappointing, really disappointing. The UK government has spent £4 million, £4.1 million, which is, what's that in US dollars? 4.1 mil in GBP in USD is $5.5 million US dollars on this website, and it's a resource website. I have logged in, which was an absolute pain in the ass. It did not send me my verification email. The verification email went into spam. It's sent from some random address. I guess whoever developed this, the whole thing's a mess. So I'm saving you the trouble of having to create an account. There's also joke things like it asks what your industry is, and the options are basically, I forget what they are, but they're like, oh, actually I can find them. They're in this pathway. The options for your industry are, it can either be agriculture, transport, logistics, construction, creative industries, or other. What? What? What's going on here? This feels like they've built it to get grants from like the agricultural department, the transport department, the construction, and the creative industry department, and they're not thinking about what this is like for users and the confusion that this causes. So I put in none of the above. Anyway, that was purely getting into the site, which was already difficult, already annoying, already showing some signs of weakness with things like the email not arriving, landing in spam. Like, guys, come on. Anyway, you get in finally, and you get a catalogue, and you get a catalogue of courses to help you learn about artificial intelligence. But it's just a big old list, and it's primarily free courses that you can get from various large companies like Microsoft, Google, Amazon, etc., etc. So all of this stuff's been available for a while. All they've done here is pull them into one site and allow you to see them, and stuck some random images on them that they've got from Shutterstock by the looks of it. You can click through and you can find out more about it. You can sign up for it, like, absolutely fine. But all it is a catalogue of pre-existing resources. Again, this cost the UK government £4 million, $5.5 million to get this created. That's annoying. That's taxpayers' money, and that's taking the piss, frankly, because this is not worth 4 million. This is just I could have, okay, I'll get to this in a moment, but you could set up an AI bot to go and find all these courses, pull them into one place and vibe code this site up in a day or two. jumping ahead, that's what I'm doing. I am replicating this site and I'm going to make it better because this has annoyed me so much. So let's scroll through. What the other thing you'll notice is lots of them will say no charge. Awesome, great, we love that. I think we can also filter by, can we filter by no charge? Yes, there's a filter. We must be able to do this. Filter by no charge. Okay, so we can do that. Update, so we can see the ones that are free. There's only 9 pages of the free ones. So how many are on a page? 20 on a page? So a couple of hundred are free, but the remainder are paid. So if I go to fee payable now, so 9 pages of free ones and 13 pages of paid ones. So they're primarily not free courses. That's fine. Maybe your employee's sending you, maybe you'll pay for it yourself. That's fine. But the annoying thing is here, if we click on them, it just says fee payable. It doesn't tell us how much it is. So this could be a $50 course. This could be 5,000. I don't know. I have to go through to the website. I go to the website and it says it's free here, but presumably it's going to start charging me at some point if I want a certification. This is information that if you have been paid £4 million by the government to put together this website, you damn well go and get that information. You bring it onto the website. You don't make the user go and click around and find out how much it's going to cost. You don't make them go and do their own research. The whole point of this hub is to make it easy, and they have not even bothered to do that. So it's either no charge or fee payable. We need a filter which is, you know, less than £100, between £100 and £1,000, more than £1,000, something basic like that. But they haven't even bothered to do that level of research. You can see why I'm annoyed. There are also ones, somebody found it. I haven't been able to find it, but apparently there were ones that are international, and there was one that was from like a Canadian government department, and it was only applicable for people who lived in Manitoba, and that somehow got in on this site. I haven't been able to find it, so I think after that became public, they probably removed it, and there were some excuses saying, oh, we want to make sure there's a diverse range of international options, etc. No, this is an AI skills hub for the UK. The point is to provide AI skill training that is accessible and useful for people in the UK. If it's only available for farmers in Manitoba, that is not useful. So this site, again, I cannot help, I have to reiterate that costs £4 million, that could have been vibe coded up in an afternoon, that has a bunch of free courses and then a bunch of paid courses without the payment information, is a bit of a joke. And I'm really annoyed with it. So what I'm doing, I have already scraped it all. I've pulled all of the information out of it. So I've grabbed all 500 and whatever it is courses. I pulled all the information from this. Codex did it for me, by the way. I said to Codex, hey, I want to rebuild this. And Codex was like, yeah, cool, let's do it. So I have a Codex agent that went out, grabbed all of this information. I'll show you how to do that if you want, because that's quite useful. So it pulled all the information from here, put it into a JSON file. I brought it back into Codex and said, hey, I want to rebuild this. I'm going to build it on my site. What I'm going to do is I'm going to make it better. So I'm going to pull in all of these courses. I'm then going to do additional research. So I'm going to, for each one of these, go and get the information from the actual page. I'm going to get the actual price. If it's not readily available, I'm going to ask what the price is, and I'm going to get it onto my site. And then I'm going to open it up and not require a stupid registration process that doesn't deliver to your email once you've got it complete. I'm just going to basically rebuild this so that people in the UK do have access to this kind of skill training, and it's much more accessible, and it isn't through this stupid portal. I'm also going to build a proper pathway system. So at the moment, you can fill out this personal pathway. So you do edit assessment and you choose between your industry. So again, the industries are agricultural, transport, construction, and creative, or other. So if you work in healthcare, for example, other. If you work in social working, other. Useless. We need to have all the industries in here if we actually want to make this useful. Learning persona, this is fine. Do you want to be a worker, a leader, professional? Yeah, whatever. Experience level, beginner, intermediate, advanced. What I'm going to build this out into is maybe a little assessment where you can actually find out what your level of AI is, because most people don't know. Most people will either assume they're a beginner because they're new to it, or that they're probably more advanced than they are. So maybe I'll have a little assessment, a little optional assessment, which allows you to work that out. Because it's a new technology, we don't actually know. So this can be done better. Technology stack, this is also fine. I don't know, this is a bit of a weird one. If you were just learning AI because you think it's important, locking yourself into a Microsoft, Google, or Amazon system is a bit weird. This is useful if you work for a company that uses the Google system, for example, or a company that uses Microsoft Copilot, but it's still not, it doesn't make much sense to me. So I'm going to redo the assessment, make it more generally useful, not just for employees. And then what it does is it creates this pathway. So this is an AI leader beginner with the technology stack set to Microsoft. So all this pathway is a set of filters. So because I've said Microsoft, because I've said beginner, and because I've said AI leader, it's showing me all of the Microsoft courses that are at beginner level. And it's showing me all of the beginner level fundamental skills. And it's showing me, what's this? I don't even know what this is. What's the difference between AI skills and fundamental skills? No idea. But this is not a pathway. This is not helpful. This has given me 30, I think it said somewhere, 27 resources over 4 modules. There's going to be overlap here. Like, should I do, this makes sense. Should I do understanding data concepts and then get started with agents and then generative AI for beginners? No. Why would you do get started with agents before you do generative AI for beginners? Makes no sense. And it starts with understanding data concepts, which is specifically for agriculture and food, even though I said I'm in none of the above. So why is it giving me that? So it's telling me the first thing I should do is this agriculture and food related Microsoft understanding data concepts, which costs money. How much does it cost? It doesn't cost money. It's free. Yeah, this is free. So they've got that wrong. Enroll now, fee payable. So, okay, 1, it's the wrong thing to send me on. 2, it's free. It's not fee payable. 3, this technology, like, why would you do all of this Microsoft training before you do this stuff down here? This is not actually a pathway. This is a set of filters, a set of sorting. No, not even sorting. It's just filters. That dumps it on a page and is like, there you go, here's 37 courses you can do. Guys, again, I wouldn't be so annoyed about this if it wasn't UK taxpayer money that's just been spaffed on this stupid site, and it costs £4 million. So I'm going to rebuild it and relaunch it, because this has made me, the more I look into this, the more the more I talk about it, the more I use it, the more angry I get, because it is such a waste of time and resources. And we can do so much better. What is this? So the 5th course it's saying I should take is this, the British Standards Institute ISO IEC 27001 2002 implementing the change training course. Okay. How much is this one? Live online. Oh, okay. So to do this one, I need to get them into my organization. So that's fine if I'm KPMG or whatever, and I'm bringing in a trainer. I cannot do this as an individual. Can I do this as an individual? Request a quote. How do I do that? I need to call them. I need to fill out the form below. There's no form. So yeah, I'm going to redo this for the UK government because they can't do it themselves. And I'm going to release it and get it wider out to people. What I also want to do is go ahead and do this for other countries. So if we can do this for the UK, we can do this for every other country. We can show what's available online, what's available in the locale as well, what's available in the language of that particular country, etc., etc. We can do a lot more than this, and we're not going to restrict it to the UK. We're going to open this up and make this more freely available so everybody can benefit from this. And we're not going to charge governments £4 million to do so. Right, I'm going to stop going on about it because it's just going to make me more and more annoyed. Oh, Layla says, I can finally join your lives on TikTok again. They were hidden from me before for some reason. That might be my fault too, that I start them at random times. I'm meant to start them at 10 or so, but life gets in the way, so I start them at random times. So it might be my fault, Layla. Sorry. I hope you're well, by the way. Cool. Good morning, Jesse. You've just missed me ranting about the government, the UK government. I'm not anti-government at all. I'm just really annoyed about this website. Right, let's jump into the fun drama. So, there is an advert. I go and watch it all. I stuck it on my Instagram so you can watch it, or you can just go to the Claude or the Anthropic Twitter, or I'm sure it's on YouTube as well. They have put out an advert which is absolutely brutal. I'm not going to play it on this stream because it might get copyright strike, but go and watch it. It's 1 minute long. Basically, it's a guy talking to his therapist. This actress does the most spot-on ChatGPT impression I've ever heard. She talks like an artificial intelligence. I think the first thing she says is, that's a great question, or something like that. Let me find it. Great question, yeah. So she talks like an artificial intelligence, and he's asking about how he can improve his relationships with his mother. He feels like he's distancing from her. And she says, great question. And she goes through a few things you can do, like make sure you're listening, maybe organize a picnic with your mother. And then she suddenly switches mode and she says, also, have you thought about older women dating sites? If you're looking to create a lasting relationship with an older woman, then you can check out whatever this, I think it's Golden Oldies dating site. She's mimicking ChatGPT, adding advertisements into their chats, so Claude is basically going for the jugular. We know that ChatGPT are going to be adding ads. They're starting to roll out. They're starting to test them in America right now, and then it will go wider. It's going to be in their free plan. It's going to be in their Go plan, which is kind of their low-cost plan. And they're going to be using that to subsidize the cost of running the company, basically. Anthropic have come out swinging based on this with this advert, which is incredibly funny. So go and watch it. They put it at the Super Bowl as well, so they've spent a lot of money on it. And they also put out this blog article, this statement, basically saying Claude is a space to think. There are many good places for advertising. A conversation with Claude is not one of them. So they are directly attacking and saying we will not put adverts into our chatbot. Advertising drives competition, helps people discover new products, and allows services like email and social media to be offered for free. Really good point. We are used to adverts in Google. We're used to adverts in our in arriving in emails and stuff like that, and we're used to adverts on social media platforms, because in all of those places we don't pay. We are the product when we don't pay. You have to remember that. We run our own ad campaigns, and our AI models have in turn helped many of our customers in the advertising industry. So Anthropic saying upfront, advertising's fine. We don't mind advertising, which they kind of have to say because they released an advert themselves lampooning OpenAI. They go on to say, but including ads in conversations with Claude would be incompatible with what we want Claude to be, a genuinely helpful assistant for work and for deep thinking. We want Claude to act unambiguously in our users' interests, so we've made a choice. Claude will remain ad-free. Our users won't see sponsored links adjacent to the conversations with Claude, nor will Claude responses be influenced by advertisers or include third-party product placements. So they are straight up coming out and saying, we're not going to do it. This is counter-programming. This is saying, oh, yeah, you can use ChatGPT, but you're going to get fed adverts. If you come over to Claude, you're good. You're not going to get adverts. And for people for whom adverts is a very emotive, a very strong negative for them, this is going to be a very appealing message. So this is 100% against OpenAI. It's an attack, and they joined it with the Super Bowl advert, which again, make sure you go and see. I put it on my Instagram, or you can find it on Claude's profiles as well. I'll put it in the newsletter as well. It's very, very funny. They are going for the jugular and trying to take out OpenAI. Now, this rattled Sam Altman. Let me find it. Here we go. He doesn't normally write this much. This is hilarious. So he says, first, the good part of the Anthropic ads, they are funny, and I laughed. Okay, cool. But I wonder why Anthropic would go for something so clearly dishonest. Our most important principle for ads say that we won't do exactly this. We would obviously never run ads in the way Anthropic depicts them. We are not stupid, and we know our users would reject that. So in the in the joke advert that Anthropic have put out, the therapist offers him ways to date older women. So he's having problems with his mother, and the therapist says, "Oh, would you like to date older women?" and gives him a dating service. And he's like, "Wait, what?" So this is an idea of, we're going to get sent adverts which don't necessarily align with what we're looking for in ChatGPT. Sam Altman is saying, we're not going to do that. We're going to give you adverts which are aligned and they're actually genuinely helpful. Now, of course, this is the line they are towing. They're not going to say, we're going to give you crappy scammy ads. They're not going to say that, obviously. They're going to say, no, these ads will be genuinely useful. I think they have to make that argument. That is fine. That's whatever. But I think what their stronger argument, and I agree with Sam Altman here, is, more importantly, we believe everyone deserves to use AI and are committed to free access because we believe access creates agency. More Texans use ChatGPT for free than the total number of people who use Claude in the US. So we have a differently shaped problem than they do. If you want to pay for ChatGPT Plus or Pro, we won't show you ads. So he's saying, we are so big, we are serving so many people, we are giving AI to so many people for free that we have an entirely different problem to you guys over at Anthropic. I was telling someone about this the other day, and they very rightly asked, they're like, oh, well, how come Anthropic don't need to run ads? Because OpenAI are looking at running ads because they need to generate revenue, because they have a huge burn rate. They're spending a lot of money keeping the servers going. And at the moment, they have to go out and ask for more money. So every few months, Sam Altman will go out and be like, can I have another $50 billion, please? We're working towards AGI, we're working towards our IPO. But in the meantime, we just need a bit more money. So the ads are to keep the lights on, basically. They are to allow the servers to keep going, and that allows them to provide artificial intelligence for free to nearly 1 billion people on Earth. I think this is a very compelling argument that Sam Altman's making. He's basically saying Claude is not that successful. Claude doesn't have that many users, so Claude isn't burning huge amounts of cash on their servers. They are not dealing with the same problem that we need to, which is why we're putting forward ads, because we want to make sure that everybody has access to this technology. So I think that is an incredibly strong argument. And if we look at, here we go, this is mean. Somebody saying Anthropic needs traffic first to show ads. So basically, Anthropic are in a position where, of course, they can say we're not going to show ads because they don't have the traffic. They don't have enough people coming to into their app. Their user base is much smaller than ChatGPT. So the monthly unique visitor for ChatGPT is about 400 million, whereas for Claude it's about 15 million. So they're doing very different things. The business model of Claude right now is with developers. It's with coders. They are charging $200 a month, $100 a month for the max plan. I'm on the $200 a month plan, for example, which is 10 times what I pay for ChatGPT. That's where the money's coming from. It's coming from subscriptions of people who are building with Claude. With ChatGPT, it's a more general purpose AI, and it's being used by 1 billion people on Earth, 1/8 of the world's population. So of course it's costing them a huge amount of money to keep that going, and advertising makes sense because you have eyeballs, you have attention, you have traffic. So it's a different business model. So I think, honestly, Sam Altman is dead to rights here. However, his response is also, you can tell, Anthropic put out a really funny ad, and he writes a whole essay, basically. I'll put this in the newsletter so you can read it in full. He doesn't normally write this much, so you can tell that this got under his skin. I see Nikita underneath, who he runs head of product at X. He says, comms advice, never respond to playful humor with an essay. Just say, damn, they cooked us, or make a joke about them. So yeah, the fact that Sam Altman has responded with this immense essay tells us that this got to him, and this has annoyed him, this has upset him. But I think this argument here, we have more people in one state, the state of Texas, using free ChatGPT than you have total users in the whole of the US. That's a really strong argument. They're playing different games, they're playing different markets, and by using adverts, ChatGPT can keep the lights on, and they can make sure that everybody has access to ChatGPT. because Claude is not cheap. Claude costs a lot of money, and it's only the people, the elites really, who can afford to spend $200, $100 a month on a max plan. That is a very limited and very small percentage of humanity, whereas ChatGPT is saying, here you go, everybody can use this, and we want to make sure everybody can. So yes, the advert's very funny, and I recommend it. And I think it's fantastic that we're seeing this kind of competition. But Sam Altman's response, despite its length, despite its kind of seem a little bit desperate, I think he makes a very, very, very good point here, and we need to remember that. Okay, so again, I'll put the full Sam Altman response and the advert in the newsletter, so make sure you're subscribed for that. Okay, yesterday I was over at Google at the central St. Giles site. I saw some very cool things, including one thing that's confidential that I can't talk about, but was really cool, really cool, but I can't talk about it, which is annoying, but that's fine. They also released their quarterly results, and Google are doing extremely well. They're doing very well in the AI race, but quite quietly. They're releasing a huge amount of product. They are getting a lot of users, and they're actually making money from this kind of stuff. But they're just slowly doing this in the background while we are all looking at ChatGPT, and we're looking at Anthropic, and we're looking at Claude bot, etc. Google are just powering away in the background. And again, I've talked about this at some length before. I think they're probably going to win the AI race because they own the whole vertical. They make their own TPUs. I saw some TPUs yesterday at their office, and I got overly excited about that. They have their own cloud infrastructure. They have the user base. Huge amounts of people are using it. They have data. They've been collecting data from Google Search, from YouTube, from Google Images, from Maps, from everywhere for the last couple of decades. So they have the data. They have market penetration. So Chrome is used by 70% of people using browsers. And Android, I think, is similar. I think Android's about 70% penetration as well. And they have cash. They have money. They have billions in revenue every year already coming in from their other business units, primarily from search. So they're in a really, really, really good position to take this. So whilst these guys, so ChatGPT and Anthropic, are kind of squabbling and shooting ads at each other, Google are just building in the background, quietly building and building. So Sundar Pichai put out their quarterly results. Thanks to our partners and employees, it was a tremendous quarter, exceeding 40 billion in annual revenue for the first time. That's a lot of money. Our full AI stack is fueling our progress. Again, that's their TPUs, their cloud, their application layer, their data layer. They have it all. They don't need to go to NVIDIA to buy GPUs. They don't need to go to Oracle to buy cloud. They have it all in-house. And Gemini 3 adoption has been faster than any other model in our history. Very, very cool. So their revenues are up 17%. They are apparently, I did not know this, but they're apparently at 750 million users for the Gemini app, which is, the last report we had from ChatGPT was it's 900 million. But ChatGPT has been growing that for the last couple of years, whereas Gemini really only took off with the release of Nano Banana last year. But apparently they're at 750 million, which is very much catching up with ChatGPT. I don't know why they're not shouting about this more, because they could become the biggest AI app on Earth within, well, this year. So this is a huge, huge revelation. I'm wondering if that includes things like when you do a Google search, the AI overviews. I'm wondering if they're sneaking that in as no, it says Gemini app. I need to investigate this because that just seems phenomenally large for me. And I saw Logan was talking about this too. It says Gemini now processes 10 billion tokens per minute via the API. And the Gemini app just crossed 750 monthly active users. So that is closing in on ChatGPT. So I'm just astounded. That's a huge number. If that includes AI overviews, then that's being a bit tricksy because that allows you to count in your the people using Google search, but I think the people using Google search is much more than this. So I don't think it is. And it says Gemini app here. So I think they are just cooking in the background and people are using it. So congratulations to Google. Like, they're doing extremely well. And apparently 325 million paid consumer subscriptions. Okay, that's not just AI. That would be absolutely wild, because that would be 50% of their AI usage. Okay, no, they're not doing that well. The other thing that I saw, and they put out a tweet. Did they put it out yesterday? It said, in case you missed it, and this is a good in case you missed it. So we've had AI browsers for the last couple of years. We had things like Comet, we had ChatGPT Atlas, we have, oh God, there's a whole bunch of them, but AI enabled browsers where the AI can see what you're doing, it can intervene, it can start to use the web page for you agentically. And what I've always said is, well, it's great that Comet are doing this. It's great that ChatGPT have Atlas. It's great that these things exist. But as soon as Chrome adds AI, as soon as Chrome becomes an agentic browser, it's done. Because Chrome has 70-80% market share. Chrome is what people use. So if you just add AI, if you just add an AI sidebar into Chrome, that's it. That's the ball game. People aren't going to go and use a new browser. They're going to stick with what they have, and you just add it into the product that's already the market leader. And things like Atlas, things like Comet, they're Chromium anyway. They're based on Chrome underneath. So they've finally done it. I know they had a Gemini sidebar in before, which could kind of interact with the page, but I was at the Google office yesterday, and they had a meeting with a guy, and he said, "Oh, have you seen the Chrome Gemini?" I was like, "I think so," because I'd seen previous iterations. But then he showed me it took over his browser and it booked a train ticket, and we were sitting there watching it. It was like a game of chicken, to see how much he trusted the the Google model. And I was joking. I was like, "Oh, do you trust it this much? Do you trust it this much?" Because it was going through the process of buying this ticket, and it selected a ticket for him, and it went through, and it was going all the way to the checkout, and it's like, "Oh, is it going to stop, or is it going to purchase?" It's got his card details. Is it going to purchase? And it stopped at the last moment. He was very happy about that. But now it's a fully agentic browser. They just didn't really tell anyone about it. So they literally have this, in case you missed it, tweet yesterday, which is Chrome now runs on Gemini 3, our most intelligent AI model yet. Here's what you need to know about the new side panel experience. So it's agentic. It can take over your computer. It can also use Nano Banana inside of the browser. So I think you just saw a little example of it there. If you are looking, I don't know, let's say you're on Rightmove or Zoopla or whatever it is in the US, and you're looking at an apartment on the page, you can, in the sidebar in Gemini, say, "Hey, I'm looking at this apartment. Could you show me what it would look like fully furnished," for example? And Nano Banana will be able to see the image, and it will be able to fully furnish the apartment in the sidebar. So Nano Banana can see the page, pull the information it needs, and create graphics from it. So things like that, really, really, really cool. And the thing is, they've just waited for everyone else to release their AI browsers, see what they're like, see what the security issues are, see what the user experience issues are, and then drop this. So we have it. We have the AI browser. Now, the rollout is limited, I think, which is why I love Google, but they're not good at launching things. So you might be wondering now, like, well, how do I access it? And the answer to that question is, I don't know. I really don't know. I think it might only be in the US right now, and I think it might only be for people who have a certain kind of workspace level, but it's going to be coming out to more and more people. But the fact that I don't know where it is, or how to access it, or who has access and who doesn't, is kind of emblematic of Google. Again, I love Google. I love the things they're doing, but they are they're not great at launching products. Let's put it that way. Gemini is so much fun. Yeah, Gemini is great. And it kind of came from nowhere. Google were very much caught on the back foot by ChatGPT releasing, because Google had large language models before, and they were being used internally at Google. And then all of a sudden, ChatGPT released a model, had that big ChatGPT moment, and the feeling at Google was very much like, oh, but wait, we've been using this for a while, and we have one, and oh, why didn't we launch it? So for a couple of years, basically been on the back foot because ChatGPT moved first, moved fast, whereas Google were, I think, trying to perfect it, trying to make it safe, trying to make it useful for everybody, and because of that, OpenAI stole a march on them, and OpenAI and ChatGPT became synonymous with artificial intelligence, rightly or wrongly, it doesn't really matter. So it's been over the last couple of years, Google have been reclaiming that position because the last few decades, Google have been a predominant player in the AI market with things like DeepMind, but ChatGPT caught them by surprise. So it's great to see them kind of now coming back into play with all of that infrastructure, with the full stack, with the TPUs, with the cloud, with the data, with the user base, with the product base, to be able to really take advantage of the AI technology as well. So very, very cool stuff. They're coming after ChatGPT, says Tamas. Yeah, they are. I'm going to ask some people at Google about that 750 figure, because that really surprises me, because that means they've caught up, or they will be catching up very shortly. ChatGPT was 900 million, and that was about a month or so ago. They might be at 1 billion now. I'm sure once they hit 1 billion, we will know. They will tell us, because that is a hell of a benchmark. This is weekly active users. So if Gemini are anywhere close to that, then they should be shouting it from the rooftops. How do you rate ChatGPT versus Copilot versus Gemini? Sorry, Microsoft. So Microsoft run Copilot. I'm not a big fan of Copilot. Copilot runs on ChatGPT. Under the hood, it's ChatGPT, but they've added additional safeguards, additional rules, and basically neutered it. So I don't use Copilot. I try it every few months and come away disappointed every time, because other labs, so OpenAI, ChatGPT, Anthropic, Claude, Opus, Sonnet, etc., are just pushing ahead so fast, whereas Microsoft are very conservative. Copilot has a use because it's within an organization, so you have layers of security, you can set up rules, etc., but it means it's very much neutered compared to the other models, so Claude and ChatGPT. Gemini I primarily use for images, for Nano Banana Pro. My main model is Claude. I use Claude for nearly everything. That said, I have a $200 a month plan, so I don't need to worry about rate limits. If you don't have that plan, that suddenly becomes an issue. It's an expensive model, basically. And then I use ChatGPT for personal stuff. So the best thing about ChatGPT for me is the persistent memory. The fact that it knows information about me from all different chats, whereas Claude, I know it has the ability to pull memories from different chats, but it's not organic. I just want ChatGPT to know everything about me, so it can pull information from various threads that we've had without me having to re-give it the context every time. So I use it for personal stuff primarily. I use Claude for work stuff and coding. I'm using Codex a lot more though, which is ChatGPT, because the new Codex app, which I've done in the last 2 lives, really good, really, really, really good. So I'm still working out how they sit together for coding. I think what it is Claude Code for me is very good for iterative coding. When I want to sit down and go back and forward, it does something, I make changes, and every time it takes like a minute or so. Whereas Codex is much slower. I will give it a task and it will go off for 10, 20 minutes working on that task. So it means I need to do something else, or I need to just step away from my computer. However, when it gets that task back to me, the quality is really good. So Claude is great for, at the moment, Claude Code I'm using for smaller tasks, and then I'm using Codex for big projects where I want it to do a huge piece of work, and then I check after 20, 30 minutes. So I'm still working out how they live together, and I don't know the answer to that yet. Sonnet 5 today, maybe. So there's rumors, actually, we'll hop onto this. We've got a bunch of rumors swirling around. first rumor is, here we go, Opus 4.6 and Sonnet 5. So these are leaked tables of its performance. We have to take these with a grain of salt. They're probably fake, but there's a huge amount of rumors swirling at the moment about the release of Sonnet 5. So right now we're on Sonnet 4.5 and Opus 4.5. The way the Anthropic models, the Claude models work is Opus will be the premium model, but Opus is extremely expensive. But then what we see is they release a new Sonnet model. In this case, it's going to be Sonnet 5, which beats Opus. And then we will have a period of a month or two where the Sonnet model will be the top one. And then they'll release a new Opus model. And that will be even better. And then again, a Sonnet will overtake, etc., etc. So Sonnet 5 is, well, I'm looking at this table. This might be fake, so it doesn't really matter. But across the board, better. That's not really a surprise. With every new model release, every new model has to be better. Otherwise, nobody's going to pay attention. So they're not going to release it until it's across the board, beating all the benchmarks. They are saying that this is going to wipe out every single model from 2025. So the new Sonnet model is just going to make Gemini 3 Pro, GPT 5.2, Opus 4.5 and Sonnet 4.5 obsolete, because this model is just going to just wipe the floor across the board on every single metric. I believe them. Every time Anthropic release a new Claude model, it's always the best. That said, the ChatGPT are potentially releasing 5.3. So this is again based on a rumor. Somebody said, can we get 5.3 now? And Sam Altman responded with the little kind of side eye thing. So GPT 5.3 is also landing. So again, there's always going to be a new model. There will always be a best model, but it will only be the best model for a couple of weeks before we see the next one. And I'm sure Gemini 3.5 or 3 point something is also waiting in the wings to be released as well. Oh, and Grok, I guess. What were we on with Grok? 4.2? So Grok 4.5 maybe, or maybe a Grok 5 at some point. So yeah, I'm sure it's going to be great. I'm sure it's going to be amazing. And whether or not we get it this week, it was meant to supposedly drop on Tuesday, but they had a huge outage over at Anthropic. So I'm not sure if anyone uses Claude. It basically went down. The API went down. Claude Code went down. The rumor, unsubstantiated, is that this was them trying to release Sonnet 5, and the servers basically collapsed. So they're like, oh shit, and they rolled it back, and then they're taking it a bit slower. This is substantiated to a certain extent by a lot of the vibe coding apps like V0, Replete, I think probably Lovable, saying, ooh, something big's coming tomorrow. They were all teasing the release of something. Whatever that something is did not arrive. So the chances are that the server meltdown at Claude, plus this rumor of something big arriving with all these vibe coding apps, which, remember, they get it early because they need to set it up to be ready for launch day. They all started teasing. The servers went down. Anthropic probably said, pull the plug. Lots of those messages about, oh, something big is coming tomorrow disappeared. So it looks like we're meant to have it on Tuesday, but it's now been delayed until they can release it safely without absolutely melting their servers like they did on Tuesday. This is all speculation, this is all rumors, but that seems to be the narrative. However, when we get it, it will be great, I'm sure. And then we'll have another great model in a few months, and then we'll have another, and the cycle will continue. So it's exciting to get all hyped up about the new best thing, but just remember that they always just get better. And you don't need to use every new release. You don't have to chase every shiny object. You're safe in the knowledge that all the AIs are getting better all of the time, which is pretty cool for us. Does Gemini browser sidebar give another angle for vibe coding? So you probably wouldn't vibe code in the sidebar, but so I'll come back to this project that I talked about at the beginning. There's this government website in the UK that costs £4.1 million. It's crap. I've done a full analysis of it. I say analysis, it's just me getting more and more annoyed. So that's about $5.5 million for this directory site. So what I did, or what I'm in the process of doing, is I ripped all of the information from this site. I'm probably getting in trouble for that, but I don't care because I want to make this more available. I pulled all the information and I'm enriching that data, putting it into a proper database, making it available. To do that, I used Inspector. So you can pull up in Chrome, you can pull up Inspector and you can use the console. So I had Codex build me a little script which went through the pages, grabbed the information and put it in a JSON file. And it worked like a treat, actually. I might have it. Is this it? Yeah, I'm not going to do it again, but I've got a little script. You can see it here. Codex wrote that for me, and it just ripped through the site and grabbed all the information. So I probably shouldn't admit this on a live stream, but it doesn't matter. I don't care. Would you be able to do that potentially with a sidebar? Maybe. So if I had an AI sidebar that could come in and it could see the page, it could access, here we go, the page source. Then I could say, hey, look at this page. I want to replicate this, or I want to improve this. Maybe it's your page. Having the ability to allow your AI into your browser just gives you some more options in terms of coding, in terms of your workflow. Now you can do this. You can set up Playwright. You can set up ways for your AI to go and access web pages, but having it in a sidebar would be pretty cool. I could also do things like, let's say I liked this top bar. I don't like this top bar, but for example, if I like this, I could talk to my AI assistant in the sidebar and say, hey, I really like this top bar. I want to replicate this on the website. Can you kind of get the styling from it? Can you go into the CSS, into the HTML, and pull that styling information? Again, this is stuff that we can do manually, like this, or we could use AIs to do it, but it would just make it a lot easier having it in a sidebar. So I can come in here and grab this sidebar information from here. But a sidebar would, sorry, this top bar information from here, but an AI sidebar would be a really useful companion to allow me to do that very, very quickly. So I don't think we'd necessarily vibe code in the sidebar. I mean, I might be wrong, we could do, but you could use it as a supplementary tool to gather information, to also test on your site. Like I could take it to my site, have a sidebar here and say, hey, I want you to read through the site and work out better ways to increase conversion, or look for errors in my analytics, etc. Look for error codes, etc. And it would be able to go and do that for you. These are things we can do already, but the sidebar would make it easier. So I see it more like that, a supplementary tool for vibe coding, a supplementary tool for business, rather than something you're going to build in directly. I might be wrong though. There might be a cool usage there. How does the new Codex compare with Claude Code? Good. Really good. I've been using Codex for the last couple of days. What I found is it's slow, especially in the extra high mode. It's really slow, but the results are good. So it might take 20-30 minutes to complete a task for you. So you're going to have to go and do something else. But when you come back to it, it's going to have done it well. Whereas Claude Code is excellent. But generally with Claude Code, it will take a couple of minutes and it will come back to you, and sometimes you'll have to do a bit of back and forward. Now, you can say to Claude Code, and I do this every night, I say, I'm going to bed. You keep working. Do not look for input from me. I want you to continue going until you think you've completed this task. And then give me a list of things you need to check. You need me to check a list of things that you need clarification on tomorrow morning, and that will set it into a mode where it will basically work for a lot longer for you. Codex does that by default. Codex will doggedly just keep banging into a problem, but at the end of it, the result is very good. So I'm trying to work out where they both fit together. At the moment, I'm using Codex for big projects, like I did a huge security sweep of my website. I set Codex on it. I said, here you go. Here's access, go and audit this, go through everything, look for where you can harden API endpoints, look for XYZ. Actually, no, I said, go and find a security checklist first, then run through that security checklist. And Codex, I think it took about 40 minutes going through that task. So it's fantastic at that kind of stuff. However, if you want more back and forth between you and the coding tool, that could be very frustrating. So I think it's better for asynchronous rather than synchronous work. Whereas Claude Code, you're going to be a bit more hands-on. You're going to be a bit more conversant with your AI. The state of the UK. Yeah. Oh, this site. So the site I was talking about is aiskillshub.org.uk. I went through it at the beginning of the live. Don't get me started again. It annoys me so much. But it's a catalogue of AI courses. Most of them are just pulled from Microsoft, Amazon, and Google. Got some Coursera, got some deep learning AI ones. I don't know why they don't have all the deep learning AI ones, because deep learning AI itself has a couple of hundred. Let's see. We've only got 2 here. They don't even... I'm going to get annoyed again. Look what's happened. You've made me... So this one, deeplearning.ai, AI for everyone. That's a really good course. However, they also have one called generative AI for everyone, which I would argue is more useful. So this one here, AI for everyone, is a good course. It's a really good course. But then there is generative AI for everyone, which is more relevant to what a lot of people are thinking of as AI right now. So ChatGPT, large language models, basically. So the fact that they've got one but not the other, there we go, generative AI. This is one of the most popular courses on the internet to do with AI. I highly recommend you do it. But they don't have it on this trashy government website. Oh, the more I look at it, the more I get annoyed. So I'm rebuilding this website. I'm going to open it up. I'm going to make it more available. I'm going to put proper courses in, like generative AI for everyone. I'm going to go and find out how much they all cost, because right now they just say if it's free or if it has a fee. It doesn't say if that fee is, £30,000 because you're getting a master's degree, or if it's $100 to get some like little certification. It doesn't say, it just says paid. So they did not bother to do any research, and they charged the government £4 million for it. So the website is aiskillshub.org.uk. I'm a bit confused with the AI with Kyle's site. Any costs involved? It's free. Nope, it's free. And there's about 100 playbooks on there and 8 courses. And there's loads of stuff, huge amounts of stuff. Yeah, so that's all free, Stavry. You can sign up for the newsletter, which is also free, but that needs an email address, obviously, so I can send you the newsletter. But that is free. Okay. One more thing. So it is the 1-year anniversary of vibe coding. Vibe coding as a term has been around for a year. So let me pull up the initial tweet. This is from February the 2nd, so a couple of days ago, from Andrej Karpathy, saying there's a new kind of coding I call vibe coding, where you fully give into the vibes, embrace exponentials, and forget that code even exists. It's possible because the LLMs, i.e. Cursor Composer with Sonnet, are getting too good. I just talked to Composer with Super Whister, so I barely even touched the keyboard. I asked for the dumbest things like decrease the padding on the sidebar by half because I'm too lazy to find it. I accept all always. I don't read the diffs anymore. When I get error messages, I just copy paste them in with no comment. Usually that fixes it. The code grows beyond my usual comprehension. I have to really read through it for a while. Sometimes the LLMs can't fix a bug, so I just work around it and ask for random changes until it goes away. It's not too bad for throwaway weekend projects, but still quite amusing. I'm building a project or web app, but it's not really coding. I just see stuff, say stuff, run stuff, and copy paste stuff, and it mostly works. That, a year ago, is the beginning of vibe coding. So remember that this is relatively new. AI coding, AI assisted coding, vibe coding. We had versions of it before, but they weren't really good. And it was Andrej Karpathy coining that term about a year ago, where we really started to see really kick off. And companies like Lovable, I don't think they even existed at that point, or they'd just started. So he's done a little retrospective of this because he coined the term and he's been continuing to vibe code. So he says a lot of people quote tweeted this as a 1-year anniversary of vibe coding, some retrospective. He said it's basically a shower thought. I just fired it off without thinking, but somehow I minted a fitting name at the right moment for something that a lot of people were feeling at the same time. So here we are. Vibe coding is now mentioned on my Wikipedia as a major memetic contribution, and even its article is longer. So yeah, he's now famous for this, which is probably not what he wants to be famous for. He's also the co-creator of ChatGPT, and he's done a lot of other things. But yeah, now he is the guy who coined vibe coding as well. One thing I'd like to add is, at the time, LLM capability was low enough that you'd mostly use coding for fun throwaway projects. So as I just read out, he said it's great for little things you do at the weekend, like little toys, demos and explorations. It was good fun and it almost worked. Today, 1 year later, programming via LLM agents is increasingly becoming a default workflow for professionals, except with more oversight and scrutiny. The goal is to claim the leverage from the use of the agents, but without any compromise in the quality of the software. Many people have tried to come up with a better name for this to differentiate it from vibe coding, and personally my favorite is agentic engineering. So we hear things like AI assisted coding, AI coding, vibe coding, agentic engineering, etc. Vibe coding is pejorative for the most part. That's considered like, oh, that's for amateurs, that's for beginners. However, the lines are blurring because the large language models, Opus, Sonnet 5, which we'll probably have today or tomorrow, are getting better and better and better and better. So what used to just be for people who didn't know how to code, or people who could code but just wanted to do a throwaway project, is now being used. It's moving its way up the echelons. So we heard that people like Linus Torvald, the guy who, I have to get this right because people will yell at me, he co-created and he completed Linux, the I won't even call it an operating system, the kernel, otherwise I get yelled at. So he used vibe coding. He's been using it on side projects, and he said, oh, it's really good, it's really powerful, and this is like a godfather of software development. Again, people are going to yell at me for that, but I don't care. So many serious proper coders and programmers are using vibe coding, but we don't use that term. We use agentic engineering or AI assisted coding or something like that to make it sound a bit better. But we have to remember the models are getting better and better and better and better. So these lines are going to blur. So he says agentic because the new default is that you are not writing the code directly 99% of the time. You're orchestrating agents who do and acting as oversight and engineering to emphasize there is an art and a science and expertise to it. It's something you can learn and become better at, with its own depth of a different kind. So he's suggesting that we move away from vibe coding to agentic engineering. It doesn't have the same ring to me. I think what will happen is that as the AIs become better and better and more commonly used, we'll just drop the vibing. It would just be called coding. In the same way that coding or programming used to involve, well, if we go way back, punch cards and assembly and actually having to worry about zeros and ones and binary and stuff like that. You don't need to worry about that anymore because we have different levels of abstraction. I think this vibe will just drop away over time and it will just become coding. So this things like agentic engineer is a patch. It's something that will help serious engineers, help serious coders to start using these tools for the next couple of years, but then this will also drop away. It's absolutely fine, but that is I think a temporary name. It will just become coding over time. In 2026, we're likely to see continued improvement on both the model layers and the agent layer. Yes and yes. I feel excited about the product of the two and another year of progress. Very, very cool. So I'll put this full tweet plus the original coining of vibe coding. I'll put it in the newsletter for you as well. What time is it? And we're at 1 hour. So I will finish up. So we've covered a few things today. First, I ranted about the government website, which costs 4 million, and I'm rebuilding, and I will show you what that looks like in a couple of days, hopefully. We also looked at Claude's attack on ChatGPT and the inclusion of ChatGPT adverts. And I think Sam Altman's very fair response to it, which is, hey, we are doing AI on a very different level to you, and we are providing free access to the world. So get back in line. We are using adverts in order to make this happen and to give access fully to people. You don't need to worry about that because hardly anybody uses your AI. brutal, but I think a valid snapback in this case. So it's fun to watch these people fight over this, and it just means more competition and better models and yeah, and more choice for us as consumers. So we're good with that. Then we looked at Google and their quarterly results. The big headline for me, the surprising one, being there are 750 million users of the Gemini app. So they are catching up quietly with ChatGPT. So while Anthropic are loudly sending out these adverts and shooting shots across the bow, Google are just getting on with it. And if this increases, so if this continues at the same rate, we'll probably overtake ChatGPT in terms of their monthly active users, probably this year. And remember, they have a huge amount of cash as well, so they can sustain this without adverts, at least for now. But they will add adverts eventually. You don't see them saying we're not going to add adverts because they will. And then we looked at the rumors of the new models. Again, rumors. I'm not really going to go into it in much detail. Got Sonnet 5 probably dropping this week, maybe next week, and GPT 5.3 as well. Both of them on their way. Both of them will be better. Both of them will be the new best thing. But remember, step back a bit, and there's always a new best thing every single month. So as long as you know the trajectory is getting better and better and better, that's kind of all you need to know. You don't need to know the exact numbers. You don't need to know the exact benchmarks. Just that, oh yeah, it's all getting better. And then we looked at the 1-year anniversary of the coining of the term vibe coding. And then Andrej Karpathy trying to change it to agentic engineering. But I don't think that's going to stick. Vibe coding's too good. Sorry, Andrej. You did too well a year ago. Even if it was just a shower thought, a throwaway tweet. You did too well a year ago, so I don't think this new one will stick. Cool, I'm going to finish up. Everything is available in the newsletter. It is, somebody was asking, is it free? It is free. You can join the community here, and there's a bunch of courses, a bunch of catalogs, etc. All for free, and you will get the daily email, which is a summary of my live. If you did want to pay for something though, if you love paying for stuff, I am launching today. I am launching something that is paid, which is my AI Authority Accelerator. Basically, there's a really big opportunity to, let me see if I can find some of my students, a really big opportunity to become somebody who talks about AI to your particular demographic, to your particular industry niche, in your geography, in your language. So we have a lot of English-speaking AI content creators. We don't have many others. So I've put together an accelerator where we spend 30 days basically going through videos, creating videos, putting them onto TikTok and Instagram in order to start to build up a following. And I guide you through the process of how you do that. So I have about 250,000 following across various different social medias, and that allows me to drive my other businesses and to make money for my other businesses. That's what this is about. This is not about becoming an influencer. It's not about becoming an Instagram influencer who sits in a bikini sipping martinis on a beach. I'm not good enough looking for that. But this is about using social media to drive traffic, using social media to drive distribution to whatever your business is. And I think there are a lot of spaces open for you to move into, to become the person that teaches this, or the person in your particular country, or the person who talks to this particular demographic, or the person who explains AI for healthcare, or AI for teachers, or whatever it is. So you use your pre-existing background, your pre-existing experience, and then you connect your AI skills and your ability to use artificial intelligence, and you help other people to do so. And there's a really big opportunity for that right now. So these are a few of my students. So that is we're starting that next week. So if you did want to pay for something, there is this, I think it's about £150. It should be about £150. This will be launched in the newsletter later today. So if you are interested, go to aiwithkyle.com. You can sign up for the newsletter, which is free. And everything else here, all these courses are free. This catalogue of 100 playbooks, that's all free. All of these tools are free. The news obviously is free. I've got a prompt, what's it called? I've forgotten what it's called, a prompt library, which is free. etc., etc. All of this is free, but if you are looking for a more kind of structured course, then I am launching that Accelerator next week as well. So sign up and there will be details inside of the newsletter later today. Awesome. Thank you so much, everybody. I will see you tomorrow for another live, hopefully with news of Sonnet 5. We'll see. Otherwise, we'll cover something else. Cheers, guys.